Power on.
Woo! Wow! Ooh, boy, I tried that. It's time for dinner and a movie with Ellen and Brian. And, well, it's not exactly dinner.
It's more like snack time in a
More
movie.
like snack time. We have protein bars here. So, but you get to hear our lavish mouth noises while while we eat them. And we got some great coffee here, some blueberry cobbler, which we're going to need to talk about this goddamn dumpster fire of a movie.
Yeah, good thing this coffee is so delicious. Because the movie was shit.
I'm trying to remember what movie that was. Where like a guy was like drinking, he thought it was coffee, but he was actually drinking shit. Oh man, I know it's something out there, but maybe it was one of the Police Academy movies. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the 1997, masterpiece.
I can't even take you seriously when you say that.
By Joel Schumacher, called Batman and Robin. Easily the greatest Batman movie ever made. I mean, it beats out everything Christopher Nolan's ever done. I mean, this is top notch. So allow me to chew a little bit here. No, if I do, I'll choke from saying all this bullshit. Ellen and I went and saw the 1997 Batman and Robin because it was part of the re-release of the entire quadrilogy, celebrating 80 years of Batman, but then also 30 years of when the 89 Batman came out, which is a tremendous film. We also reviewed Batman Returns and Batman Forever. At this stage, what are your favorite ones here?
Oh, my favorite movies, by far, the original Batman, and then Batman Returns.
Really? You put Returns at number 2?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Forever at number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would flip those. But, where I'd put Forever at number 2. But it seems pretty clear. The Batman and Robin is number 4. But really, it should be number 2.
We can treat it like number 2.
We'll treat it like number 2. Because it's such a piece of shit.
Oh, I love this. This is going to be so fun.
My voice is going too, so it's going to be even better.
You won't be eating this chewy, crunchy bar for long, though.
No, I swallow that down. I'm telling you, I'd be the best gay man ever. Joel Schumacher would love me.
You do have a very big mouth.
I do. Man, I could swallow dick like, oh, man. Anyway.
The things I've seen you put in your mouth.
Yeah, really.
It's pretty impressive.
The things you've seen. So, Batman and Robin 97. This is Joel Schumacher's second attempt at a Batman movie. His first attempt, that being Batman Forever, taking over duties for Tim Burton, which I think he successfully pulled off. I think he did a great job of meeting Warner Brothers' demands, as well as, sticking with closer to the theme of what Tim Burton had already laid out. And in fact, I've argued, if you watch the Red Book edition, or even just know something more about the film, it originally was much darker. Now, to understand, Joel Schumacher, the director of that movie and this movie, has publicly come out, and I could play the audio if you really needed it, but it's easy to find, has publicly stated that he apologizes for this movie.
Good.
For Batman and Robin. It's
what a waste of time.
Yeah. It's that bad. He said, like, let's say, his quote was basically, let's say you're somebody that really enjoyed Batman Forever. I'm really sorry about Batman and Robin. I mean, that's really what he said. And that kind of says it all. Most of the actors involved have apologized for this movie, or most of the people involved in the production. It's very easy to make the claim for a lot of evidentiary reasons that this literally was a toy commercial. Like, this was not meant to even be it was a movie, yes. It's a feature film. It's a theatrical release, but it is a toy commercial through and through. There's even points where the characters reference their action figures. Like, and actually there's some irony in that, but it's that blatant that this is really, we talked during the Batman Forever review about how they blew up all the Bat vehicles so that they can make new ones and sell new toys. This is absolutely a toy commercial. So let's start breaking into it a bit here. We had to go bigger because Warner Brothers is all about with Batman. They're just thinking bigger, bigger, bigger. The only thing that's not bigger, I think, is the size of the person playing Batman, who, in my opinion, is completely fucking unbelievable in any way. He is not a believable Bruce Wayne. He needs to stop shaking his fucking head. He's not a believable Batman at all. George Clooney ends up taking over duties for this. Now, Val Kilmer, apparently the reason he didn't reprise his role is because he had another movie that he had to do, and the schedules would have conflicted. Val Kilmer dodged a fucking bullet.
Yeah, he saved his career.
He saved his career, because fucking A. So George Clooney somehow is still a big deal. Like, I'm not saying George Clooney is a bad actor, but he's not Batman.
No, he's not the right actor for this role. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's not even a good Bruce Wayne, which maybe he could have pulled that off, but no, he didn't.
No, he does. He seems kind of goofy. Like, I think you were calling him a goofball.
Yeah, I had some choice words.
I mean, that sounds... this is like a younger George Clooney.
Right. Yeah, he's still doing ER at this point, just for perspective.
Yeah, he doesn't really seem like he has that depth or class or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, so that's one of... Now, not uninteresting, George Clooney's name, usually Batman, whoever's playing Batman in a fucking Batman movie, is usually the first name on the billing. Like, as the opening credits start rolling, they're the first name. This was not true in 1997 in Batman and Robin. The first name that comes up is Arnold Schwarzenegger, which of course makes sense. Arnold's huge, highest paid actor of his day. I get it, but...
And he has a lot of screen time.
Film. He's playing Mr. Freeze, Victor Freeze. And so you have Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. You've got George Clooney as Batman. Chris O'Donnell returns as Robin. Wow, it's terrible. What's her name that played Batgirl? Alicia Silverstone. Yeah, you have Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. You have Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. And then you have a guy playing Bane. Like, Bane's in this movie, but it's not the Bane that anybody else knows, and certainly not Tom Hardy's depiction of Bane that we'd see in the Christopher Nolan trilogy. On paper, minus George Clooney, this looks like it makes sense. Like, this looks like, wow, how could this possibly go wrong? You've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got Uma Thurman, Chris O'Donnell's huge at this time. Alicia Silverstone is white hot. This should work. And Batman Forever was huge. This should happen. This should be a thing. And no, it's not a thing. Michael Gough's still there playing Alfred. Pat Tingle, whatever. He's still playing Commissioner Gordon, and probably gets the most that he's ever had to do in the entire quadrilogy, actually. Commissioner Gordon, actually does shit in this, which was amazing. But anyway, there you have it. There's our lineup. I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start with this movie.
Did you feel like George Clooney was, in any way, suitable to be Batman?
Not even fucking close. It's an insult to the character. George Clooney should have straight up said no. I don't care if it's really. I feel like, unless I was making fun of somebody, if you asked me to play the part of, if I was cast in the role of say, Harlan Ellison in a movie or something like that, and they offered me some crazy amount of money, I just have to say no. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't be him. I can't fill in those shoes, And I think George Clooney should have said, I can't do Batman. What are you talking about? He should have had that self-awareness. I don't care how much money they threw at him.
He's just not serious enough.
No, and he won't stop bobbing his fucking head.
He doesn't seem like a hero in any way. Like, he doesn't seem like somebody who'd go out there and put his life on the line to rescue Gotham City.
Right. I mean, and let's picture that. Like, I think he had either just done or was about to do, was it The Peacemaker? Where he was kind of the lead hero in that. But even in that, I mean, I don't know what happened here. This is like the end of the 90s. And I don't mean like because it's 1997. I mean, this is like where the 90s finally, this is end stage capitalism. Okay, this movie, because you don't even try to make the actor believable. You really do put him in a rubber suit, you know, and there doesn't have to be anything underneath. And that's pretty bad. Like, because I want you to look at George Clooney and I want you to say, yeah, that guy is going to save my life. That guy's going to lift me off of a cliff. No. Not at all. Not at all. He's not going to do that. He's not Arnold. And it's hilarious to have him even next to Arnold. In fact, I think they put Arnold in this ridiculous Dr. Freeze suit just so he didn't make everybody else look bad when he took it off. You know, and they keep him in like the big robe and he's wearing like the big fluffy, you know, koala or polar bear slippers and everything and singing. It's like, okay, yeah, we want the biggest actor of our time. Which Schwarzenegger, you could kind of argue that. I mean, I understand when Schwarzenegger made Terminator 3, was that in 03 or 04? Whenever that movie came out. When he made that, he literally commanded the highest paycheck for any movie in history, for any actor. I mean, he was hitting Elizabeth Taylor territory here. You know, and he did $30 million for that. I don't know what he got paid to do Batman and Robin, but he's a big deal. But I think they had to put him in that fucking suit and they had him do a bunch of ridiculous shit because if they had Arnold for a second being Arnold, he would have made everybody else look like a joke in that movie. Everybody else already looked like a joke, but it just would have been even funnier, in my opinion. You know, that's why this went down. So anyway, well, you know what? Let's talk about Arnold. How do you feel about Arnold's performance in this movie as Mr. Freeze? Batman villain. Yeah, go.
I thought Arnold was wonderful as Mr. Freeze. I mean, even so Dr. Freeze's story was...
I almost spit out my coffee. Keep going. Keep going.
So I'm totally separating Arnold's performance from the writing of this movie.
Aha.
Keep it in like taking it out of that context.
All right, I'm trying to chill. I'm trying to be cool.
Be cool.
About this,
be cool, right? Brian.
Yeah. This is a cool party. All right, continue.
So yeah, I mean, I think Arnold did phenomenal as Mr. Freeze, as Dr. Freeze, as a man who's trying to do research to save his cryogenically frozen wife, who is doing whatever it takes to get the supplies that he needs to finish this research to save his wife from this deadly disease. Yeah, I thought he was great. He really pulled it off. He looked like he was having fun. I mean, as an evil character, he did so well. I mean, you could really see it. He's just a strong person, strong personality. Yeah, I thought he was great. Yeah. Probably the best actor in this movie.
Oh, easily, he's the best actor here. Yeah, as terrible as his lines are, and every single goddamn one of them is a pun. He ironically has more backstory and more reason and more development, I think, than any other Batman villain in the quadrilogy, other than maybe the Riddler.
Well, the Penguin has a lot of the Penguin's story is about that.
Yeah, you kind of have that, but like with Freeze, like it's a good reason. You know, I will destroy this fucking city if it means saving my wife.
Yeah, it's a totally relatable story.
Yeah, because I'd do that, you know?
Sure.
I mean, to save the love of my life, are you kidding me? Like, Gotham City be fucking damned, you know? I mean, absolutely. So, yeah,
I think anybody would do that. If they were really in love with someone, they would do whatever it took. Steal diamonds, whatever.
Yeah, to make sure that love continued on. Otherwise, I don't think it's love, you know? But anyway, that we could get into a big thing about that. We might know a thing or two on that. But anyway, so... Yeah, I agree that Dr. Freeze, like, as in an abstract, is well done, actually, in this movie, and might be the only thing, as terrible as his lines are, I don't know, it works, and is, maybe it's just the least worse. You know?
I mean, that's, like, in the context of the film, yeah, his lines are so corny and ridiculous, and, like, who in the right mind would say that?
Well, let's talk, right, now, but let's talk about, I mean, who could actually say it, and you wouldn't, all right, here's the amazing power of Arnold, okay, is that he can make this shitbag on fire film. And yet he can still command $30 million 5 years later, or however many years later, to make Terminator 3. He can still make, these tremendous films and everything. That's how Teflon this guy is. Even if some South African comes up behind him and drop kicks him and it just bounces off. I feel like that little guy was like Batman and Robin, where it just like double drop kicked Arnold, but the guy's just so powerful, it just bounces right off. So I mean that's the only comparison I have. Yeah, so Arnold like survives this terrible thing. Uma Thurman, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Poison Ivy.
Oh, geez. Because
suddenly, I mean, she's working, I don't know, in South America, I guess. She gets whatever. She's dealing with this doctor. It's kind of working with Wayne Enterprises. She basically gets killed, because this guy's actually working on a super serum, or he's trying to create the super soldier that would eventually become Bane. Which, understand, Bane is like the character that finally defeated Batman after like 70 years. This is the character that bests Batman. And the treatment that this character gets, we'll get to it. The treatment that this character gets in this movie is ridiculous. So she just gets like killed by this guy, tossed into the dirt, and like chemicals get all over her, and then just magically she comes out from the ground, and suddenly she's this meek and mild scientist who really cares about plants, and then suddenly she's this seductress with all these weird powers, and I don't know, I guess she already has like a plan for world domination the instant she hatches out of the earth. Give me some thoughts here on Poison Ivy, on Uma Thurman's performance.
So, like, the researcher that she is before she gets killed, she's working on creating a genetic mutation for plants so that they can behave in a more mammalian sort of way, or reptilian. Mm-hmm. She wants them to be like half plant, half animal, so that they can defend themselves against the evil actions of harmful humans. Like, we're trying to chop down the Amazon rainforest. These plants can't defend themselves. Let's give them some teeth. Let's give them some poison that they can spray or something.
A, I'm kind of behind that. B, I think you paid way more attention to this movie than anyone else did. Because, like, I know she was doing something like that, but, like, you really got the details down.
Yeah, well,
that's something I love about you, Ellen. But anyway.
I thought it was brilliant. Like, the research that she was doing. I mean, it's kind of bizarre. I wouldn't play God like that. Like, genetic modification, I don't know that it should be used for that. But yeah. I totally get the environmental message there. And although it is kind of seemingly evil, like you said, I could get it,
Yeah, it's like, well, maybe. Humans suck. So
we do some pretty terrible things to plants.
Yeah.
And we need plants.
Yeah.
And she realizes that, but she kind of like obsessively loves plants.
Right.
Loves plants. So anyway, she finds out that the other professor she's working with.
Keep going. Okay. This is how good you are. You're radio professional. I'm blowing my nose and you just keep rolling. So anyway.
Yeah, so the other professor that she's working with, she walks in while he's doing a demonstration of this super soldier. So, and she tells him to his face, like, you're a psycho, I can't support you. And that's when he pushes her over this table. She gets covered in all sorts of chemicals and plants and falls into this hole. Assume, like, the doctor assumes that she's dead.
Yes.
Then she comes back to life by some magical virtue of these plants that she's been working with that love her and want to save her or something. But she's totally transformed. She has, like, poison on her lips. She's got all sorts of, like, leaves on her, like, part of her body. She just becomes this, like, plant-human metamorphosis. And
instantly sexy.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the idea.
Right, like she's undergone some sort of personality change, which also happened to Catwoman.
True, that was pretty instantaneous.
Yeah. What was the character's name?
Selena Kyle.
Selena, when she was like this meek and mild secretary, then was murdered by being pushed out a window, came back to life because of these cats from the neighborhood, like licking her, chewing on her, somehow gave her life spirit back to her. And she came back totally sexy and sassy and like ready to kick butt. And the same thing happens with Poison Ivy, except, I don't know, she's just not as believable, I guess, like super corny. As soon as she comes back to life, she like springs out of the ground and she's like, "Ah, I am Mother Nature." like she can speak for all plants, and
she's blowing around love potions and shit. And
yeah, she's got like hormone powder, and she's like kissing people to kill them. And yeah, there's so many scenes where she's like using her sexuality to like draw people into her so that she can kill them.
Yeah, and she kills the doctor who's creating Bane, which, by the way, this is played by John Glover, which DC comic fans or fans of like DC live action stuff will remember as playing Lionel Luthor, Lex Luthor's dad in the Superman show Smallville, where he was amazing. He was tremendous. I am so glad he got to redeem himself in the DC universe to play like a great part, because he's a great actor, but he's fucking ridiculous in this movie.
But he does have some pretty good lines. Like,
yeah, he's a little funnier.
A super mad scientist, only on film for about 5 minutes.
Right.
But, you know, right before he kills the research scientist that turns into Poison Ivy, he's like, he has a really funny line. You know, well, I can understand your perspective. Unfortunately, I don't take rejection well, so I have to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good. So,
and then it's all over for him.
Yeah, and then Poison Ivy, she somehow can command Bane now for, like, never explained. And huge parts of this movie are things that are just never explained. There are great YouTube videos where you can watch, like, all the things wrong with this movie, where, like, physics are just, I mean, everything's just thrown out the door.
Yeah.
Like, this movie's ridiculous from the opening.
The only way that it's believable that Poison Ivy can command Bane is that, like, she was there at his inception, and he is such a dumb character, like, totally brainless. Mm-hmm. Like, they have acid going straight, or venom going straight into his brain.
Right.
That he's just, like, hypnotized completely.
Yeah, so interesting point that you bring that up. Like, maybe that's it. Maybe that's how she actually controls Bane, is because she's used, or he's powered by a byproduct of what she created, which is venom. So venom is plant-based.
She was taking it from snakes, like rattlesnakes.
Okay, right. Well, then it doesn't make any sense. I was going to say maybe she's, like, controlling the plant-based part of the...
She did the work to collect the venom. I don't...
Yeah, maybe there's something within that. But actually, so Bane is being played by Jeep Swenson, big guy, big guy. And
you never see his face?
No, right. And maybe just as well. But regardless, again, Bane is a character that, I mean, he's supposed to be like Julius Caesar reborn. He's jacked, he's brilliant, he's like the perfect man, you know, and like that, or quote unquote, conventionally the perfect man. And the perfect criminal in all of this. He's not mindless at all, like in the comic books when he's during Nightfall. This is the guy, again, that breaks Batman's back, makes him retire, puts Bruce Wayne out of commission and in a wheelchair. And Bruce Wayne basically gives up being Batman after taking on Bane. He's that much of a badass. And he gets treated basically like a gorilla, you know, henchman in this. And it's so... A lot of Batman fans really love that character of Bane, and this is just an insult to any of that. So, you know, in Jeep Swenson, he just goes around looking tough, and so there's nothing to talk about as far as his acting goes or anything like that. Some of the lines, Poison Ivy, back to her, some of the lines she has to deliver. Now, grant you, that's not Uma Thurman's, like, you know, she didn't come up with these lines. And Uma Thurman actually came out and said that every time before they'd say, shoot, go, like start filming. Every time the checkerboard would come down, Joel Schumacher apparently would say, remember folks, we're filming a cartoon. And so she said, how could you take anything seriously when that's the direction you're getting every second? And because she seemed just ridiculous. Like she wasn't even delivering the lines well.
No.
I hate to say it. Like I think Uma Thurman's a great actress. But this was not... someone was telling her to act horribly. That's the only thing I can imagine.
I agree with you. I think she's a fine actress.
Yeah.
I've seen her in other films, and she's believable as a serious character. But in this movie, she was not the right choice.
No, it's bad. And I mean, and granted, you can't help the writing because the writing's horrible. I mean, there's even a point where, like, so Mr. Freeze is powered by diamonds. His suit is powered by diamonds in this. And so he has to keep collecting diamonds and stealing diamonds to get the stuff. And there's a point where she literally turns to Mr. Freeze and says, like, oh, I'll help you get I'll
help you grab your rocks.
Yeah, I'll help you grab your rocks. There's all of this, like, sexual innuendo, which is funny in a way, or ironic in a way, because the whole point of Joel Schumacher coming on board and taking on the Batman franchise was to make it family friendly. There's so much sexual innuendo in this movie. Like, I mean, it's over the top. There's way more sexual innuendo than, say, what, like, Batman Returns could have had.
Yeah, I mean, there's even a scene... So there's a plot that Batman and Robin set up where they're going to make a special appearance at this auction where they're, like, auctioning off diamonds and women.
Yeah, to save the rainforest.
Right, exactly.
Dates, I mean...
And
it's not like they're selling them into slavery or anything.
Sure.
Though that's a fine line. You've been going on a date in slavery for a woman is kind of a fine line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
But I mean, if you volunteer for that sort of thing, you can't really complain about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, then what's volunteering in a patriarchal system? But anyway, continue, please. So
they just want the money.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, so... Batman and Robin set up this scheme so that they'll trap Mr. Freeze. Like, there's no way he won't show up because Batman's there and these diamonds
One of the biggest diamonds in the world is going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. And Poison Ivy shows up and she's, like, blowing her hormone dust all over the crowd. And everyone is totally enamored by her. She makes this grand entrance. And she walks up and Batman and Robin are both feeling the hormones. And she's like, y'all aren't fighting over little old me, are you? And it's so bad.
Yeah.
But, like, everybody wants to fuck her.
Yeah. Yeah. And even, like, Batman and Robin are falling for it. And what's crazy is that I don't... Batman's got to know. Like, Batman's got to see this happening. And...
Not at first. He finds out later, but not at first.
Yeah. There's elements within the film where, like, he should have, like, seen it. He should have realized that she's, like, blowing her hand in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the greatest detective in history, Mm-hmm. And he's not picking up what she's putting down.
But he's under the spell too.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think at first he should have noticed shit. But regardless, that we
it's
can
George Clooney we're talking about here. You really think he's gonna, like, use his detective skills over the wonderful emotional hormones?
As usual, you win. Yeah, you're totally right. We're not dealing with Batman here. We're dealing with George Clooney, and I don't expect a logical thought to come out of that brain. So yeah, you're right. Okay, we can continue. Where do we even go from there? I mean, the plot. Don't even try to apply science to this. In any form or anywhere. It could continue. What else?
Yeah, it's all over the board. I mean, Batman and Robin are, like, arguing over Poison Ivy for the majority of this film.
Right.
Like, Robin's, like, saying to Batman, "You're just jealous because she loves me."
Yeah.
Which is totally something that a teenager would say.
Yeah.
It's part of his role. And I don't know, I feel like Batman should have been more mature and handled that better.
So they were definitely setting up for a couple reasons. It's pretty clear. They were setting up for Chris O'Donnell to have his own movie series as Nightwing, which is what Dick Grayson becomes after being Robin. He separates from Batman and becomes Nightwing. And you needed to create something for Robin to get mad at Batman about, But this is a fail of how to create that kind of tension. Like, this is bullshit. for this to be the reason. Like, to say that Batman's a controlling asshole, you get a little bit of that in this, but they went the totally wrong direction with that. The other reason you know that they were going with Nightwing is they changed Robin's outfit in this, which I actually like the change, where it's like a black with just the red symbol over it, which DC Comics would actually eventually go with for Nightwing. But that's basically Nightwing's outfit. So, you know, they were going in that direction, and that's fine. I wouldn't have minded seeing that. But, oh, boy. Anyway, where else? Is there anywhere else you wanted to go with as far as the plot?
What plot?
Yeah, perfect. Let's continue. Because what the fuck was the plot anyway? I hear you. Let's start breaking down some of the elements of this film. So, the outfits. Or, no, wait. You know what we haven't talked about? Let's talk about this. Batgirl. Okay. Batgirl. Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. How do you feel about this?
I don't even like that she was in this movie.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of Alicia Silverstone. And
right.
You were telling me that she was like a big deal in the 90s.
Oh, after Clueless? Like, yeah, she was the hottest ticket. And, you know, all right, I'm going to say this quick. And I'm just speaking conventionally. I remember when I was a teenager at this time, and I would have been 16 when this movie came out. And I saw it twice in theaters for people to understand. Okay, like, I've really seen this movie. I thought at the time that Alicia Silverstone was the hottest fucking thing on the earth. And I watch this movie now, and I remember thinking, like, oh yeah, like, for the past 20 years, I have told myself that Batgirl was the saving grace of this movie.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that is the lie I have been telling myself. And part of it was because I was like, yeah, but Alicia Silverstone was so hot. And they were playing it up that she was. Like, you know, Chris O'Donnell, or, you know, Dick, he's like looking up her skirt or looking at her skirt and everything. She's wearing a schoolgirl outfit, the whole business. They're trying to make her sexy. She wasn't sexy at all. And I don't think my tastes have changed. I just don't know what the fuck happened. Like, I'm looking back at that now and I'm going, wow, like, what was I thinking? Like, she almost, and I'm speaking conventionally, and I don't mean to insult, it's not all about looks, whatever. I'm sure she's a beautiful person inside, I have no doubt. But I just look and I'm like, what did I see? Like, what was I thinking that she was like the hottest thing walking? I don't understand.
Well, you felt the same way about Nicole Kidman, too.
Yeah, but I still think Nicole Kidman is really hot.
So I get it. She's like blonde hair, blue-eyed, you know, very cute. But when she starts talking, that's where the problems occur.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I just feel like she couldn't, like, pronounce the words very well.
Yeah.
She wasn't speaking like a normal person would speak. It was just, like, a little slower.
Yeah, and this has never been done before or since in the Batman mythos. She is Alfred's niece?
Yeah. Not,
because originally Batgirl is Barbara Gordon, who she's Commissioner, she's Commissioner Gordon's daughter. And that's fine. I mean, there have been like 2 or 3 other Batgirls anyway, so you can do something different. But this was a very weird choice. And that gets, you know, there's a whole subplot about Alfred dying, which Michael Gough was really dying. Like, I think they were doing that because they didn't know if Michael Gough would survive the filming process. So I think that's why that subplot was there. But then that got weird because Alfred apparently imprinted his entire brain into the Batcave computer and had already, like, made an outfit for his niece and, you know, to be Batgirl with no real explanation behind that, or like she wasn't given good enough reason to wait. Why could she fight crime alongside Batman?
Because she wanted to. I don't know. Because she raced motorcycles.
See,
because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Where did she get the fighting skills? She's like, she came from London, right? She was going to school in Britain somewhere.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, it's a tough town.
Yeah. And I guess she doesn't have a British accent for some reason, which, anyway, whatever. So, because Alfred has a British accent, her parents are obviously fucking British, so whatever happened there. But then, you know, look, I'm an uncle, okay? I have quite a few nephews. I wouldn't, not in my wildest dreams would I ever put one of them in harm's way and say, yeah, go fight crime against these people who are capable of, like, destroying an entire city.
But, like, Alfred knows. He's said in previous films, in regards to Robin, like, it's his choice to do that. And all you can do is provide guidance.
Yeah, I don't know.
You think he's enabling? Because he did enable Robin, too.
Yeah, I think... I mean, like, here's the thing. So, I get it with Robin, right? He really has... His parents were killed by this fucking villain. Batgirl has no skin in this game.
No.
Mr. Freeze didn't do shit to her. Hell, if anything, Mr. Freeze is the guy that can save her fucking uncle. You know, because he has the cure for stage 1 of McGregor syndrome or something. And Poison Ivy didn't do jack shit to her. Like, there is no reason for her to get involved in this whatsoever. I swear, at least with Robin, like, yeah, I watched my whole family die because Two-Face is, you know, a piece of shit. And this character makes no sense in this movie. And and Alicia Silverstone is absolutely horrible. But anyway, continue, please. Or if you have more to say.
I agree. There's no motivation for Batgirl. Like, there's no reason for her to even come into existence.
Right.
Like...
Other than to sell toys.
Yeah, so the subplot that you're talking about with Alfred dying.
Yeah.
You know, he like is trying to send her on this quest to find his brother Wilfred, right?
Yes, right.
And he's got this disc he gives to her. He's like, I need you to find my brother and give this disc to him, but don't open it because you know, it's just for family and you're the only one I can trust because you are family. And so she, of course, is like, well, I'm family. And she, like, cracks into it. She's, like, trying out all these different passwords, and it ends up being Peg.
Right. Yeah, which is just dumbass encryption, right?
Like, right. It was a 3-letter word. It was the name of someone that he loved very much. It was his sister. Yeah. Her mother.
I mean, I get it that he had to think of a password that his brother would guess and would possibly know. But come on, this is the guy who has access to the Bat computer in the Batcave, and he's using 3-letter passwords. And I mean, obviously, that's putting too much thought into this. You know, it's not like I'm a cybersecurity specialist or anything. Oh, wait, but anyway, you know, why would you? So wait. So he, like the AI version of Alfred says he knew or he felt that his niece, that Alicia Silverstone's character, Barbara, would go, you know, would do this, would kind of disobey him. Like,
he knew that she would break into this CD and find out all about Batman, Bruce Wayne.
Why would you trust somebody like that with the Batcave? Or, like, with Batman, with being a crime fighter and all this? Like, again, it just doesn't make any damn sense.
If anything, she's a teenage girl. She's going to be super excited and go tell all of her friends.
Right?
Like, I just found out that my uncle is Batman.
Yeah, it's so bad.
No, I'm sorry. Bruce Wayne's not her uncle, right. But you know what I mean.
No, I know. Yeah, it's just it's so bad. It's so bad. And it doesn't make any sense for Batman to be so accepting of her, considering how he was going to quit being Batman in Batman Forever just because someone else wanted to take up the crime fighting charge. And it's absolutely outrageous that, like, and I don't care what the narrative is in this movie. It's outrageous that he would so simply say, "Oh, who are you?" You know, and then he has that dumbass line of, "Batgirl, that's not very PC. Shouldn't it be Batperson or something like that?"
It's like, you're fucking Batman.
Yeah. Like,
can't there be a Batwoman, Batgirl? Like,
yeah, and, like, what are you worried about? You know, who cares? Like, oh, man, that was
so
horrible.
Dumb.
That was horrible. All right, I want to talk about some other elements within this movie.
Okay.
Or unless you have more. What do you got?
No, you're totally right. It doesn't make any sense, like, Batgirl being in the story, except that this is a toy commercial.
Yeah.
They just wanted another good person.
Yeah, they just, okay, we got to make it bigger. We got to do this. I mean, there's times where DC Comics in the mainline Batman comic has copied ideas from other Batman properties, like cartoons or movies. I think there's a good reason they've never, ever bothered with this storyline of a Batgirl being related to Alfred. It's just, it's ridiculous. So anyway, and it would probably remind people of Batman and Robin, and I'm sure they just want to forget it. So
yeah, I mean, it wasn't well executed at all. If they wanted to do something like that, you know, it could possibly turn into a good storyline.
Yeah.
Or something believable if it was done differently.
Yeah, exactly. So now we were watching just recently one of the greatest movies of all time, that being Conan the Barbarian, and we were talking about special effects, and I told you, Ellen, I said, I was like, well, I honestly I don't care about special effects. Like if the story's that good or the characters are that impressive and all this, the special effects can look like shit, and I don't care. Like I'll still think it's a great movie or something.
Right.
But this is a movie where the characters suck, the story sucks, the movie sucks. So the special effects are fair game for me to rip on.
All right.
The CGI in this is horrible.
Oh, it was bad.
It's horrible. And even like the implementation, the ideas that they had were like this big freeze ray that Dr. Freeze had, or that Mr. Freeze has, that somehow, usually when he shoots it, it like freezes an entire person, but then there's a point where he uses it and it's this huge beam, but somehow it only creates like manacles for, basically handcuffs against a wall for Batman. Like that doesn't make any sense.
And he's like freezing walls of buildings so he can smash through them.
Yeah. The effects are so, and there's points where you can see that they just put in literally a CGI Mr. Freeze. And it looks really bad. It looks really, really bad. I mean, the CGI in this doesn't hold up for a second, and it hurts the movie that much more because it just looks like shit, and it takes you out of the film when you see it, especially since it's been upconverted to 4K. I mean, it's really, really horrible. Do you have any thoughts on the special effects in general?
Yeah, I mean, there was one car chase scene where they're actually like driving over these giant statues around Gotham City.
Yeah. And
I remember that being particularly bad. Like, it just didn't look real at all. And also, Batman is a total asshole in that scene. Where, like, Robin is going to get Mr. Freeze on his motorcycle. Yeah. He, like, hacks into his motorcycle and shuts the engine down.
Right.
And Robin just falls over and he's, like, screaming at Batman because he's so mad he couldn't do what he wanted to do. And I don't know. I just remember that whole scene was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, even that is very much like kind of against, well, I want to say it's against Batman's character, but then I guess in some ways it's not. But regardless, anyway, let's move on from that. Yeah, so special effects terrible, but you just brought up the vehicles. Let's talk about the vehicles in this thing. Like, what the hell? I've heard the Batmobile in this movie described as looking like a sex toy with a disco ball in front. And
not untrue.
Yeah, we can start off with the Batmobile. This is easily, bar none, the worst Batmobile in the history of the Batman franchise. Of any movie, of any comic, there is no Batmobile worse than this one, in my opinion. This thing is absolutely terrible. For one, I mean, the biggest problem that I have with it, actually there's two, and it all has to do with the cockpit, okay? For one, it's a one-seater, okay? And then also, it doesn't have a canopy. It doesn't have a top. Like, it's just open like a hot rod. And that's ridiculous. What does he do in the wintertime?
When it's raining.
Right.
How are you going to save the damsel in distress?
Yeah, and I don't think that there's like some canopy that just comes out because his head is taller than the back of the Batmobile. I mean, I get it. It's supposed to maybe look like a Shelby Cobra of some kind. Or, well, no, because a Cobra would still, well, whatever. Anyway, I kind of, maybe I get what they were going for, but this thing looks completely unrealistic, on a whole other level than what Batman Forever was even trying to do.
Yeah, it's got these crazy fins on the back, and like the wheel wells have these wedges that come up that like run the length of the vehicle. It just looks bad. I don't think anything about this looks really amazing. No,
yeah, and there's nothing Batmobile about it really, in my opinion.
It looks like the Missile. It's very skinny and long, like the Missile.
Yeah. It just has this weird ass shape. I cannot imagine there's anyone who thinks that this thing is a great design, that thinks that this is good. I suppose some people could argue for how the 66 Batmobile didn't really have a canopy either. But that at least had like a windshield. I don't think this thing even had a windshield. And
bugs in the face?
I don't know. Bats, well, that's what bats do. They eat bugs by the millions. Maybe that's what's going on.
There's something I'd love to see if they filmed George Clooney chomping on flies as he's driving through Gotham City.
The guy's such a twig. He probably all he does is eat crickets. I don't know.
No, those are high in protein.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, the Batmobile in this makes no sense whatsoever. The motorcycle that Robin's driving around in, whatever, you barely even see it.
I mean, there were a lot of cool motorcycles in this film.
Oh, yeah, during the motorcycle scene, which is probably one of the better scenes of the movie.
Yeah, so Bruce has this whole collection of motorcycles.
Right.
And some of them are like classics. And
which
Robin
was established in Batman Forever.
Right, yeah. But then, you get to see Alicia Silverstone and Dick Grayson. They're like, racing motorcycles in this, I don't know what it is. It's some sort of club. They're like gambling on who's going to win. And
right.
Supposedly, I don't even remember
it's like the street racing thing.
What is her name in the movie? Like the character's name?
Barbara.
Barbara. Okay, so Barbara, because they only say it a few times.
Yeah.
But anyway, she dropped out of college, and this is how she's made all of that money back, is by doing the street racing, which not really believable, but whatever. So she, she's sneaking out these bikes at night and going racing, and Dick Grayson follows her one night and actually joins up in the race, which ends up being totally epic, and I thought it was a fun scene. Yeah,
it is. It's a well done, that motorcycle race is actually pretty cool. I'll give that. It might even be scene of the movie. I think for a lot of people, they think of, which by the way, I think the day that this is getting released is it's been 20 years since The Phantom Menace came out, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. A lot of people think that Episode 1 is horrible. They might even compare it to Batman and Robin. I think that's ridiculous. But a lot of people say, well, but the pod race scene was great. A lot of people will give you that. If I were to buy that logic, I would say this is the pod race scene of this movie, where okay, that was cool. That was good. Even though the effect when she's hanging off the edge of the thing looks so bad. It's so clear she's on a green screen, and it's really, really horrible. Anyway, please continue with your narrative.
Oh, I was just talking about the motorcycles, and those are actually really good vehicles in this film.
Yeah, a lot of them really work. I do want to say, so she's doing this motorcycle racing and all this to make enough money to give back to her uncle, to give back to Alfred, for all of the help that she's given, that he's given her. So if you owed somebody a lot of money, do you think illegal street racing of motorcycles is the route that you would go?
Maybe.
Actually, you would. You're right, you would.
Yeah, but, I've done autocross racing.
Sure.
It wouldn't be too far off the beaten path for me.
All right, yeah. Well, so you're a legit badass. But Alicia Silverstone, on the other hand, no, I feel like I just cannot imagine someone that, okay, this is how I'm going to pay back my uncle,
If she was going to college for something, computer science, it would make way more sense for her to finish that degree and actually get a freaking job in computer science where she could make, possibly millions if she was really good at her job.
Exactly. So,
especially at a time when computer science was, booming.
Yeah, another plot point that just makes no sense. Wow, it's so nice you want to pay back your uncle. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go do illegal, what does it even take to become that great? And how long does it take to become that great of a motorcycle rider? Years. Right. And how old is she? She's in college?
Yeah, she's got to be 19 or something.
Sure. So, she's at least 18. That way it's legal for Robin to look up her skirt. So, on film, this boggles my mind. It's a great scene, but the reasoning behind all this, it's just total bullshit. Anyway, so that's terrible.
Can we talk about Mr. Freeze's vehicle?
Yeah, let's do it. Which one? Which one? The rocket that somehow you control with levers, and I don't know.
It's just so silly. It looks like something that a 3-year-old would play with. There's the
car?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the spikes in front.
Exactly.
Right.
I just remember it being so cartoonish.
It looks like a baby seal.
Yeah, Yeah,
You know,
it
it looks
does.
like a baby seal kind of driving around. And maybe that was what they were thinking. Oh, it's bad.
An igloo on wheels.
Yeah. It's so bad. It's so clearly designed to be a toy. It's just
Yeah.
another one of those instances.
It's just goofy looking.
Right. Now, you know, I want to speak on that for a second. Here's the thing, is that it is known, this is a fact, that before this movie was even getting made, that at the staging points, at the boardroom meetings with Warner Brothers, toy companies were coming in and saying, we want you, to Warner Brothers, saying, we have this design, we want you to put this in your movie. So even from the beginning of the movie, before there was even a script, there was talks about what toy designs needed to be in this film. That's how bad this is. And it's really clear that, in fact, I would argue, this is where it gets into conjecture. I would argue that some of the designs in this movie were like something like Kenner or Hasbro, whoever, they might even be the same company now, whatever toy company said, or like maybe a few years previous, they had hired like these prototype designs to get made. And they said, okay, you know, and they brought them to Warner Brothers and basically said, you know, turn these into a movie. That way they could actually recoup the loss of making toy prototypes from, you know, years previous, which would make sense why none of this shit looks like Batman, you know, and why it all looks so ridiculous, because really it was meant to be something else like a few years before by the toy companies. Yeah, it's bad. So, okay, yeah, Mr. Freeze's thing is ridiculous. I don't know what the hell it is when suddenly the entire city is snowing. I guess good thing that the Batmobile, I think it got destroyed, if I remember right, in this one as well. Good thing, because that wouldn't have been able to work in the winter. Though actually, what am I talking about? Batgirl's on like a motorcycle in the middle of winter. Robin, because at the end of the movie, Mr. Freeze, you know, has snow and in the Gotham City's freezing and everything. Robin is on what looks like an Everglade hovercraft, you know, and I don't understand what the fuck it is. And then Batman's on like something that looks like a pontoon boat, but it's going over the ice in Gotham City.
Yeah, maybe it's like a snowmobile of some type.
These are just the weirdest looking vehicles you'll ever see. And in fact, he even says, like, at one point somebody launches a rocket, I think, and he says shield, and like there's just a little part of the pontoon thing that he's going around in that lifts up and blocks it. It's nowhere near as cool as like when Michael Keaton says shields and the Batmobile like gets completely covered up with this awesome armor.
Yeah.
You know, it was very weird. The vehicles in this make no sense, but then arguably they were what the whole movie was really about, ironically. So, yeah, it's bad. All the vehicles are bad. What else? Do you have anything to add on to that?
No, you said it.
Yeah. Let's touch on the music. Let's hit the music. So Elliot Goldenthal returns, but I don't think he did anything new. Like, I feel like he just toned down. He used his theme from Batman Forever, but then he just toned down everything else and just kept reusing that theme for like he would just, you know, re-instrument it. And yeah, the music's completely forgettable in this.
Yeah, so is this kind of like what happened with Batman Returns, where it's like a more subdued version of the previous movies?
Right.
Epic soundtrack?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think it was memorable.
Yeah, no. And I have like a 3-disc version of this fucking soundtrack, and there's nothing about it that stands out at all. There's a return of the love theme from the 89 Batman, which was nice, but it's also being played when George Clooney is talking to Elle Macpherson, of all people, who's playing the quote-unquote love interest in this movie. And in fact, Elle Macpherson is being overdubbed, and it's the worst overdub ever. It's not really Elle Macpherson talking, because I think she's Scottish or something. She was a model that was like one of the originals. What was the sports magazine there? Sports Illustrated. Yeah, they used to have their swimsuit issue. They used to be a big deal. Used to have all the big. There was the big models throughout the 90s. Like you had Cindy Crawford, Kathy Ireland. You know, you had all those types. Elle Macpherson was one of that cadre. And she's in this for some reason, but like they overdub her. She's not even using her real voice. It's the weirdest thing in the world. She makes no sense. It's a pointless character. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think she was there to really emphasize the point that, like, Batman is a playboy. Because, like, the only time you really hear her talking is, like, when they're at the unveiling of this giant telescope.
Right.
And this reporter is asking, like, when are you guys going to get married? You're the hottest couple. And she's saying, like, oh, we're fine just dating for right now, but that might not be true forever.
Right.
And then she's having dinner with Batman at some point, and she's like, look, when are we going to get married? I can't wait forever. And Bruce Wayne is just dreaming of Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Which is, like, kind of bizarre, but that's when he realizes something is off. Because he's got this super hot girlfriend, and she's, like, talking to him about... And she's saying the most typical woman stuff, too. Like, I feel like this is a total stereotype from the 90s, where, like, I don't mean to pressure you, Bruce. I know what happens when I pressure you. You just shut down. But don't take it like that. It's just something I want you to think about, okay?
So she's not really a character, she's a plot device.
Yeah, because after that he says, like, I'm not the marrying type.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just George Clooney's horrendous acting. But, the lines.
Yeah, I mean, It sounds like something George Clooney would say. But, I mean, also it kind of makes sense for Bruce Wayne's character. I mean, not that I think Bruce Wayne would say that, but effectively that's the message you're getting throughout all these movies is, like, he's not going to settle down.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce Wayne's not an asshole. George Clooney is, but Bruce Wayne's not. So, yeah, I agree. Like, that, it sounds like something George Clooney would say. And that, again, another major problem with this movie is George Clooney's just being George Clooney this whole time. He even fails, like, when he says, I'm Batman. He just, like, says, hi, Freeze, I'm Batman. Just very, like, nonchalant, very simply, as to where,
It's like, am I supposed to take you seriously?
Right. I mean, any other time that any other Batman, even Val Kilmer, says, I'm Batman, like, there's a lot of gravitas. It's a moment, when he announces who you need to know who in the hell I am. And George Clooney just makes a mockery of it.
He has this undertone constantly that, like, don't take me too seriously. I don't even take myself that seriously.
Yeah, and he doesn't change his voice at all, either. Like, Val Kilmer would change his voice between Bruce Wayne and Batman. Michael Keaton certainly would.
Yeah.
Christian Bale, in the future, would dramatically change his voice between Batman and being Bruce Wayne. George Clooney just does none of that. It's the weirdest shit in the world. Man, I don't, like, we could just keep going about how horrible this movie is. I'm going to say, often enough, it's like, well, the directing was fine. But no, Joel Schumacher completely failed in this, and he apologized for it. The screenwriting, this is one of the worst scripts ever written. A lot of people want to apologize for this film, and apologize as in defend. Okay, they want to engage in apologetics for this movie, which means to defend it, that it was actually good. Like the director and everybody else are apologizing for it. They're sorry. There are people who engage in apologetics for this movie, and they say basically it's a continuation of the 66 Batman. No, it's not. Like, and if it is, it's a complete failure as far as that goes, because it does not have the charm. It does not have the sexy, and it really doesn't. Like, Uma Thurman just comes off as a fail. She doesn't come off as sexy at all. Batgirl does not come off as sexy. None of that works. There's nothing sexy about this movie, as hard as they might even try. It doesn't work. So, yeah, I don't buy that argument. And it's not one of those situations either where it's so bad it's good. It's not even that. This is just a terrible movie, straight up. Do you want to give it an out of 10?
Oh gosh, I don't even know.
You can go, I mean, look, we can do imaginary numbers. We can do negatives. Break out the sigma in the calculus. Let's do this. I mean,
oh, you want to take the area under the curve?
Yeah. There you go.
Oh gosh. I didn't even want to think it was like a sub 5, but now that I'm thinking more about it, like, it's got to be like a 4. Like a 4 out of 10.
Right.
It's not hitting any of the right notes for me. And I don't want to say that it's, like, the worst movie ever, because it does have, like, you can tell there's a budget there.
Yeah.
You can tell that there's, like, some decent production value.
Yeah.
It's just... Oh, God, there was one scene that really made me upset.
Tell me about it.
It could have been good. But it's the scene where Poison Ivy and Batgirl battle for the first time. And it's in Poison Ivy's lair, which is like this beautiful Amazonian rainforest that she built in this old Brazilian bath or something. Or what was it? Like, it was some, like, hot tub area. Anyway.
Yeah, it was like a Turkish bath.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what it was, yeah.
So, anyway, I thought that was totally beautiful, and I appreciated that. But, you know, Batgirl shows up and is fighting Poison Ivy, and she's like, somehow, she's got all these cool moves, and she kicks Poison Ivy's butt. Or she kicks Poison Ivy's botanical butt.
Yeah.
That was her.
She said that.
She says that at the end of the movie. She's like, don't you guys forget it was me that kicked Poison Ivy's botanical butt. That was me. It's like, okay, we get it.
It's pretty bad.
It was terrible.
It's pretty bad. And you don't even really see how Poison Ivy gets defeated. It's like one of her plants just eats her. And...
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's like kicking Poison Ivy's butt, and she's like, it's women like you that give us girls a bad name. And it's just like, it's supposed to be an empowering feminist message of, like, you know, don't use your sexuality to take advantage of other people and, like, be self-reliant or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it sounded so bad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even make sense that, like, how is Batgirl kicking Poison Ivy's butt? Like, obviously she's a lover, not a fighter. But I don't understand how she has any practice fighting. Like, there's no, like, story, there's no plot device that says, like, yes, she can do this stuff.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that was horrible.
So anyway, yeah, just, that made me really upset, in addition to all the other things. Arnold Schwarzenegger was great as Mr. Freeze. I loved that story arc. You know, he's so in love with his wife that he'd do anything to save her. So, you know, given all of the terrible things in this movie, along with that, yeah, 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Okay. I want to make one more comment, and then I'll give you my score.
Okay.
Okay, but yours is 4 out of 10. So my comment is, I didn't get to this, is the anatomically correct suits in this. Except for, apparently Batgirl. I don't know if she had nipples. But, okay,
no.
So a lot of, right, which is weird, because the guys do.
She had the butt zipper, though.
She did have the butt zipper. That's true. I don't want to make any comment about that. So the Batman and Robin, like, it was fine in Batman Forever that they had, like, a bump that looked like a nipple. In this, like, they're like these pointy nipples. They have, like, areola and the whole thing.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's very strange. It's really, really weird.
Bring on the nipples. Make them more realistic. Hell, make them pink. Why not?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I get it. Like, yeah, that looks bad. You know, like that looks, there is no reason for that. That is so weird. And like, I don't get it. And in fact, that doesn't even sell toys. Like, because they're so small. Your average action figure at the time was, you know, anywhere between 3 1/4 inches to 6 inches. Okay.
Wow, that's pretty specific.
Yeah.
Do you own a lot of action figures?
Yeah. Well, it used to be a thing. I have some pretty epic pictures in my collection, but no dick jokes there, folks. So anyway, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I to this day, I don't understand why they went that specific with the nipples. Like, I got it, and it was fine in Batman Forever. But for them to go that distance that they went to in Batman and Robin, I'm just baffled by it, and it just looks, it takes it to a point of ridiculousness that's not the theater of the absurd. It's just stupid. And so with that, along with everything else we've talked about in this movie, or this toy commercial, I am going to give this toy commercial, Batman and Robin from 1997, I'm going to give this an absolute 0 out of 10. Ooh!
Oh!
And how about that pun?
No saving graces!
No.
Absolute 0. That is, like, well below freezing, just so you know. But
it is well below freezing. But I feel like in respect to Arnold, he would appreciate if I said absolute 0 out of 10. You know, like that would be a Mr. Freeze joke right there. So I'm gonna run with that.
Wow. So nothing good about this film.
Yeah, I mean,
it was total trash.
The motorcycle scene was pretty good. You know, the pure ridiculousness of Arnold's lines. I mean, those are going to be quoted for all time. You know, but no, there's nothing. George Clooney is so horrible, and like everything, and anything I thought I liked about it, after seeing it in 2019, I mean, it just doesn't. I don't know what I ever thought was okay about it. Like I'm baffled by that, and I'm really bothered. Like I almost want to watch Clueless again, and I wanted I got to check myself. Like, how did I think that Alicia Silverstone was like something? You know. Well,
you're a different person now. Yeah, you can't expect yourself to have the same taste forever.
I don't know, but there's plenty of people where I totally have the same taste, you know, and I mean, you might be right. I don't know. So yeah, absolute 0 out of 10. You went with a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what you say, I still like Arnold in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, and don't confuse me. And actually, Sovereign Tech listeners, longtime listeners would know. I mean, I love Arnold. Like, I'm a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan.
And the fact that he gets to play a villain in this movie that's like doing whatever it takes, even becoming this evil character in order to save his wife, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm still going to stick with the 0. So, but all right. Anyway, this is in my book one of the worst movies ever made. It's not Battlefield Earth, or it's not Any Given Sunday, which I consider to be the worst film ever. But it's up there. Oh, wow. Well, we're going to have to watch some more films, because I think there's a film that's even worse than that out there.
What is this movie?
We'll do a review of it someday.
You're not going to tell me?
No.
Oh, no. All right, well, I'm not going to rewatch Any Given Sunday. Like, you can't pay me to do that. There's no way. I will not that movie is just that bad.
That's what you said about Battlefield Earth, too.
Yeah, but at least that's science fiction. Like, anyway. Okay. All right, there it is, folks. Batman and Robin.
Flaming garbage.
Yeah. Light that trash bag on fire, because I mean, this is bad. This is a horrible film, for what is otherwise a fairly remarkable series of films that were well ahead of their time, and had a lot to offer and had a lot of greatness in them. It's a shame for it to end on one of the lowest notes that anything could possibly end on. The Superman Quadrilogy, not even anywhere near as, like, Superman 4 isn't remote, while a lot of people consider that a bad movie, it's not remotely as bad as Batman and Robin. This is so fucking bad. So anyway, Ellen, thank you for going through this personal hell with me.
You know, we were both actually like, oh, thank God it's over when it ended.
We're waiting for the credits. It's like, please, just fucking roll. Let us get out of here. You know?
Yeah, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
Can't get those 2 hours back.
No, that was so bad. And I will say one thing, though. This is one movie where I had no problem going to the bathroom in the middle of it. You know? Like that's nice. Where it's like, yeah, no, even if I miss something, I didn't miss anything.
Get a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, okay, so this will wrap this up. This is our review of the Batman Quadrilogy. We will be doing more movie reviews. In fact, we will get to the Christopher Nolan trilogy of Batman films in the future. But we've got some doozies coming up. Battlefield Earth, as we already mentioned. We might do Conan. I don't know. We'll see. But, I mean, that's some holy ground for me, so I don't know if we need to review that. But we've got some doozies to get into. But that's it. Ellen, thank you again, and we'll see all of you on the other side.